I'd like to start with a confession. I admit that I'm a recovering cyber addict. Now, a couple of years ago, I found myself going online all the time and getting less and less done. I found myself really stressed out, and I also thought I was losing my memory a little prematurely. What I decided was to change the focus of my research, which had been television and children for 30 years, and start focusing on adults and what our constant connection to digital devices is doing to us. We now have, pretty much all of a sudden, 24/7 access to unlimited information, endless entertainment, and constant connection to our friends and families and colleagues. So what could be wrong with that? Well, the problem is our brains aren't designed to work very well in this kind of environment. For one thing, we're made to rubberneck at any bright, shiny object that comes along. And our ears perk up to every novel sound in the environment. So when all of this stuff comes at us, it's hard for us to get anything done. The first exercise is called the Stroop test. It's a classic psychological test that demonstrates what happens when your brain has to switch modes. Okay. What I want you to do is answer quickly and loud when a word appears on the screen. I don't want you to yell out what the word says, however. I want you to yell out the color of the letters that the word is written in. Okay. Okay. Very good. You notice something there? It wasn't as easy as it might look. I decided to develop my own test that was very similar. And since Professor Stroop named his test after him, I named this test the Cantor test. For every word that comes up, I would like you to tell me the color of the letters that the word is written in. Ready?
Red, blue,
oops.
Green, red.
Sorry.
Green, red, blue, green, blue, red.
How many people can tell me the whole sentence that those words made? How many people can't tell me? Okay. Well, let's go through again, and this time I want you to read what the words say rather than what you did before.
I don't think you're going to remember much of this.
Okay, so what have you discovered here? Well, one thing is that your brain cannot multitask very well. If you learn something while multitasking, you learn it at a lower level. And that's because the part of your brain that's really good at processing, integrating, evaluating, and putting things together is busy when you're multitasking, playing traffic cop between the two tasks. So what you learn when you're multitasking is like rote memory. You don't learn principles. You don't learn generalizable information. You don't compare it to anything else. So basically, when you're multitasking, you are purposely or accidentally dumbing down your brain. You're dimming your bulb, so to speak. You're lowering your workable IQ. It's like you're using your left hand if you're right-handed. So I'm not saying you should never multitask, but I'm saying that here are 4 questions you should ask yourself before multitasking. Do I want to dumb down my brain for this? Do I want to spend more time than necessary on this? Do I want to have little memory for what I've done? And do I want to do a poorer job? If you can say yes to all 4 questions, then go ahead and multitask. Some definitions of creativity say that creativity isn't having a new idea like a bolt from the blue. It's actually having all the information you need, but suddenly seeing a link that nobody saw before. And that's how I came to the metaphor of this jar of jelly bellies being your overloaded brain. Neuroscientists have looked inside the brains of people while they were trying to solve insight problems. And insight problems are the kind of problem that suddenly come to you in a flash. And they've used functional magnetic resonance imaging to see what parts of the brain are active at any one time. When the problem is first presented, what they find is that all the activity in the brain is in one spot. And that's where the person thinks the answer is going to be, but it actually isn't. And then just before the person raises his hand and says, "I've got it," they see that this focus is relaxed. And then suddenly another area of the brain lights up and the connection is made. Be the master of your interruption. You should be the decider of when you get interrupted. You shouldn't leave it to everybody else. So what I'm saying is, when you really need to use that full brain, not that low IQ brain, but that full brain, turn off your alerts and get out of the stream of communication. Now, I know what you're thinking. I can't do that because there are these many people who have to reach me at any point in time. Now, what I say is, try to identify your drop everything contacts. Maybe you've got an ill mother or a child at school, or maybe you have a particular colleague or your boss that have to be in touch with you whenever. Well, find a way for them to get in touch with you without leaving yourself on call 24/7 to everybody in the world who has your contact information. Take brain-enhancing breaks. Now, I talked about those already, but what I'd like to say is that now that we have our communication and information devices in our pockets, we're never not doing anything. We're never not receiving inputs. The minute we leave a meeting, we're checking our messages. Rather than having any time to process what just happened, we're doing something else. Maybe we're listening to a self-improvement tape on the way home. Well, a much better way to self-improve would be to allow that brain to start using the information it just got. Now, because we're always receiving input, we don't anymore have the time to ponder, to integrate, to mull things over, or to consider. And one thing I'd like you to take away from this is that we have a brain that's a phenomenal information processing device, but we keep squeezing it into a smaller and smaller space. Give your brain a little fresh air. Allow it to thrive. Try taking charge of your digital domain, even for just a small amount of time every day. I promise you'll get more done, you'll boost your creativity, and you'll reduce the stress in your life. Thank you very much.